Welcome in, everyone, to Dynasty Trading Room. Superflex 2-round, 12-team, half PPR mock draft today for those 2026 incoming rookies. It's really good to get these scouting started early, get an idea of how these players' trajectory works throughout their college career, get an idea of where their skills are and where the value lies in this upcoming class, so you know what to do with those 2026 rookie picks that you have.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially like looking at positional value, which positions are the strongest, analyzing your team, what you're going to need in that 2026 rookie draft. If you want to sell your picks and buy 2027 rookie picks, how to work with those first, second, and third, even if you have a fourth round picks. If you want to trade them away, if you want to start stockpiling them, it's really important to know which positions are the strongest to how to build your team heading into next season.
Absolutely. And Joe, there's a bit of a stigma around this 2026 class. I think the 2025 class was seen as really strong in running backs. 2027 seems to have some standout stars, specifically Jeremiah Smith. So this 2026 class seems to be going to the wayside in a lot of people's minds. But looking through the film, I think there's a lot of talent here, some diamonds in the rough that people should keep an eye on.
No, absolutely. I mean, especially the quarterback class, we're going to have several guys going super early here. A lot of guys with really high ceilings you're going to see. I mean, even a guy like LaNorris Sellers with elite rushing upside. You have Arch Manning. If he decides to declare this year, probably going to be one of the top overall picks. You could even say number one at the moment. But there are a ton of super high upside players in this class at every single position, especially a lot of transfers going to new situations. You see with the college football transfer portal taking up a huge chunk of this time. As players going to new teams all over the place, we're going to have several players in this mock draft heading to several new teams, new situations. So it's going to be a lot of things shaken up. But this class is really interesting with a lot of diamonds in the rough, I think.
Absolutely. And you mentioned one player there, and that'll transition us into the first pick of this 2026 rookie mock draft, and that is Arch Manning. The Manning name has a lot of weight in college and NFL circles. You're right; he's probably going to stay in college for another year, declare in 2027. But there's absolutely a possibility that he does declare in 2026 and enters the draft. And the scenario where he does so is where he is going to be the number one overall pick. If he has that Heisman type of season, he leads Texas to a deep playoff run. We could absolutely see him be in line to be that consensus number one overall pick in the NFL draft. And that is why he is number one on my rankings and in this mock draft here. Yes, he has the Manning name. That's going to automatically push him up a lot of boards, and that is important for Dynasty because that's going to insulate his value quite a bit, even if he has a poor rookie season. Think like Marvin Harrison Jr. Didn't have the greatest rookie season, but his value is still super high in Dynasty because of that name value and what he did in college. Arch Manning has a huge arm. He has ideal size. He's 6'4", around 220. He has all the intangibles that you want out of a quarterback heading into the NFL. It's really his deep ball, the touch on his deep ball, his huge arm that has me really interested in those two starts he had last year. So a lot is going to come down to how he plays this year in his first year as a full-time starter. But if he does have the season a lot of people are expecting out of him and declares in the draft, I think it's going to be hard to take anyone else but him in these Superflex leagues at the 101.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, especially when looking for like your franchise quarterback for a dynasty team, that rushing floor, which Arch absolutely has, as we've seen in his limited starts at Texas when Ewers was out, he has that rushing floor. He has that deep ball, so he's going to provide big plays with that floor, with that rushing upside. So I think that's a really good first overall pick.
That was one thing that really surprised me watching the film on Arch. I didn't expect him to have the legs that he does. Like he's an athlete out there. I guess years of watching Eli Manning and Peyton Manning, the statues in the pocket, maybe that threw me off. Yeah, he's absolutely, he loves to stick in the pocket. He's a passer first, but you're right. He has those legs, and that will bring some fantasy floor to his performances as well. All right, let's move over to Joe here. You with your the second pick in this draft.
Yeah, so I decided to move away from the quarterback position. I went with Jeremiyah Love, running back for Notre Dame. When I look at Love, when I look at his film, I see a prototype running back, a guy that really could go in the first round next year. And that's why I'm looking for running backs for draft capital. He's got really impressive speed. He's a really great athlete. You see him hurdling guys all the time in film. Really great contact balance, especially around the goal line. And that physicality is really, really impressive to me. Something I really love to see in running backs. Because in the NFL, size does matter. That physicality does matter. We saw last year at Notre Dame, he put up a rushing line of 163 carries, 1,125 rushing yards, and 17 rushing touchdowns with 6.9 yards per carry. That's a really impressive number. I mean, that's almost 7 yards per carry, which is really translatable to the NFL. He's dominating this competition, even playing some impressive teams in the College Football Playoff. We saw him have a really impressive game against Indiana, including a 98-yard touchdown. That was just an impressive run, showing off that long speed. He's a big player with physicality, and a lot of times you see those guys that don't really have the long speed to back it up to be that three-down running back. Love has that speed. He's a very well-rounded player. He could take a major step forward without Riley Leonard. I think Riley Leonard had more carries overall than Love did last year at Notre Dame, so depending on how the offense shifts with a new quarterback. I mean, Riley Leonard had 184 carries last season. That was almost 20 more than Jeremiyah Love, I believe. If that offense does shift with a new quarterback under center, Jeremiyah Love could get even more rushing volume. Obviously, I don't think he's going to completely take over all the rushing carries. You have Jadarian Price still in the backfield, who got a significant amount of volume last year. He's a very solid running back as well. Could hear his name called at some point. But I think Love, on a touch-per-touch basis, on an efficiency basis, is going to show why he should be a first-round pick next year in the real life draft, and obviously in rookie drafts as well. I think he's got everything you look for as a prospect. Again, extremely well-rounded. I think he could step in as a pro-ready running back and be the first running back off the board come April 2026. Again, may not see that elite usage in college like a guy like Ashton Jeanty did, but I think with those touches, he's going to show exactly why he should be drafted high.
The talk around him is he's this quick, explosive back, and it's totally true. He is.
Yeah.
But then you watch him on film, and this guy's big. He's 6 foot, 215. He is a strong runner too. He's not just a quick Jahmyr Gibbs on the outside. He could take on a full workload.
Yeah.
If I had to nitpick anything with his profile, it's going to be that this is just an elite rushing team as a whole. Notre Dame had a great rushing offense, like you mentioned, Jadarian Price. Good running back. We don't think of him as an elite talent as much. Yet he had 6.1 yards per carry last year. He looked great behind this offensive line in this rushing attack. So how much of this Jeremiyah Love success last year was more around the team's success than his own?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, to me, it's his receiving upside. It makes it so that I'm not even worried. I think he's closing in on a top 10 pick in the NFL draft with his play. If we see it again this year, I think he solidifies himself in that spot for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of guy you see go with a top 10 pick in the real life draft, like you just said. He has that skill set to just break NFL defenses wide open and change a team's offensive perspective, their offensive philosophy to a rushing first offense. He's that good of a player. So
on our way to the third pick, I'm back on here with Makai Lemon. This might be a bit of a surprising pick for people. He's not usually seen as that consensus top receiver in this class. But I think something that stands out in this wide receiver class specifically is you have a lot of guys at the top that really could, with a good season, make their way to be the top receiver in this class. It's a little more even than we've seen in some of the previous classes with standout guys.
Yeah.
But Makai Lemon, he's just, I think he's a great all-around player. I know he's 5'11", 195. He's not the biggest receiver, but he still plays fairly big. He's strong. What really stands out, though, is his sudden route running and his sudden movements just as a ball carrier as well. This guy, he makes people miss. He has great acceleration with the ball. Despite playing primarily out of the slot, he won a lot on the outside when he played there as well. Some deep balls, some big post routes that he won against some good competition. He actually had the highest PFF receiving grade of any of the Power 4 school receivers in his class. So he's definitely not too far under the radar, even if he's not consistently being ranked as this top receiver in the class. I think with another strong season here, he could definitely be topping out those consensus ranks as the top wide receiver, and he's someone I'm definitely keeping my eye on to start out this season.
No, yeah, Lemon had an impressive season last year. He is that dynamic player after the catch that can make guys miss, get those extra yards, which is super important for fantasy, as we all know. So I think that's a great pick there at 3. He's definitely a guy that could fly up draft boards. I think everybody knows that. He's got the talent. And USC, obviously, if they can improve that offense, he will be the centerpiece, hopefully, at that point. So I think that's a good pick. Yeah.
We definitely saw it over the second half of the season. Over his final 8 games, he was on a 13-game pace of 73 catches and over 1,100 yards. He really put it together over the back half of the season, and that included that game against Notre Dame, like a really good defense, obviously. 9 receptions, 133 yards. When you can put up those kind of numbers against top competition, that makes me very, very bullish about your possibilities transferring into the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, on our way to pick number 4 with Joe.
Yep, I got continuing the trend of wide receivers here. We have Jordyn Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. He's my personal wide receiver 1 right now in this year's class. As a prospect, fluid movement, he's a really good route runner. I saw him make defensive backs fall over on film with his route running. I can think of one specific rep against Kansas State where he had a route going to the outside to the end zone, made a defensive back fall over with a fake move to the inside. It was a really good rep. But he's a really clean route runner. His movement skills are really impressive. He's a great athlete. And that size, he's 6'2", 200 pounds, so not one of those small, quick guys either. He's quick, but he also has a solid frame. And that paired with his athleticism gives him a really solid profile that could get him picked really high come next year's draft. So I think he's an awesome prospect. Obviously, good route runner, good movement, like I said before, but also that production is there. Over his last 8 contests, he averaged 111.5 receiving yards per game. That's a pretty insane number, especially going over some decent competition in the Big 12. Obviously, it's no SEC, no Big 10, but still, it's some decent corners over there. And then across his final 3 games, he averaged 148 receiving yards per game. That's pretty insane. I honestly couldn't believe it when I did the math with my calculator. So he's a big play threat, great after the catch. We've seen him just bust open defenses with some huge plays down the field and some huge plays with his legs. Again, a great athlete with that size and that speed, so he's able to break open those huge plays. And that speed is awesome as well. So that the film is really great. You see him making plays in the end zone. I believe he had like 10 touchdowns last year through the air. So he's my wide receiver 1. I think he is a pretty high floor player. Again, well-rounded guy. So yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. He is a high floor wide receiver. This guy is going to be, if not a first round pick, a very early second round pick in the NFL draft next year. The one criticism of this wide receiver class is they haven't really produced. There's been a lot of flashes. Jordyn Tyson's the one exception to that. He has the production and absolutely dominates man coverage. Had 4.63 yards per route run against man coverage last year. That's just insane. That was like 1.5 yards extra. Like he's almost lapping the field against man coverage. So that shows that physicality he has.
Yeah, no, I think he's an awesome player. Like we said, high floor player that, could hear his name called in the top 15 with another strong season. Obviously, Sam Levitt under center. This is a productive offense. We saw him reach the College Football Playoff last year with their young head coach Dillingham at the helm. So if that continues, if that's another strong connection from Levitt to Tyson, and if he can stay healthy, that's another big part of it. Miss some games down the stretch, but I think if everything breaks the right way, could end being a top 15, maybe even a top 10 pick. So
we are off to pick number 5 in this 2026 rookie mock draft. And with that, I'm going back to running back with Nic Singleton out of Penn State. Nic Singleton is someone that probably could have come out last year. I was a little surprised to see that he didn't, but a lot of these Penn State guys seem to want to go back. Drew Allar as well wanted to make that run for a national championship. Watching him, he's unreal size for a running back. This guy's 6'1", 225 pounds, and he looks every bit of it. Once he gets up to speed, there's just no stopping him if he makes it into your second level. The arm tackles are not going to cut it against a guy running like this. Like, I'm not saying he's this skilled, but when I see him run, I see Adrian Peterson out there. I see a guy who just can't be brought down once he gets a head full of steam. The one downside with his profile is, and especially you see this on film, is if he gets beat, if he gets touched in the backfield, he's going down. He doesn't have that elite acceleration to get up to speed right away. Reminds me of someone like last year, Caleb Johnson had a similar profile. Once he got up to speed, could actually absolutely break away some runs. But if the O line didn't do their job, then you had some disappointing success rate on plays like that. I think that's something that's easily overcome in the NFL. If he gets drafted to a team behind a decent offensive line, this guy could be a top 10 running back year in and year out. He also adds the receiving game last year, something that I didn't really see in his film until last year. But the production cannot be understated. 41 receptions. That's fourth in the class among Power 4 running backs. 1.62 yards per route run. That's better than some of the wide receivers we have later on in this mock draft. Absolutely great numbers. 375 total receiving yards last year. That was second in the class.
Yeah.
Just if his rushing wasn't enough upside, that floor raiser in the receiving game really makes a difference.
Yeah, no, he's a good receiving back as well, like you said. In half PPR leagues, he's going to be more valuable because of that. Obviously, one of the best 1-2 punches in all of college football with him and Kaytron Allen in this electric Penn State offense, like you said. Good rusher and receiver, so I think that's a really good pick there with a dual threat running back that obviously big play threat, home run ability. So good pick.
The receiving game surprised me too. This wasn't just check down routes out in the flats. It wasn't just these short normal running backs you see. They were putting him out as a wide receiver. This guy ran seams up the middle, was catching deep balls from Allar. Like it was interesting to see how they utilized him, and it made me really excited about his prospect profile. Let's move on here with our next pick. Over to you, Joe.
I am going to take my first quarterback off the board. This guy. Right now, I know it's a very close battle. There's a lot of horses in the race with this quarterback group, but I'm going to go ahead and take Cade Klubnik, quarterback out of Clemson. Again, I've talked about high floor players. I think Klubnik is a very high floor player with a very high ceiling as well. You have that nice combination. Obviously, just from a basic prospect standpoint, he's got amazing accuracy, especially downfield. He's able to place the ball where only his receivers can get it. And even when you see it on incompletions, his receivers always have a chance to get that ball deep down the field. He's had a really impressive last couple seasons. He had 36 passing touchdowns, only 6 interceptions last year. A really solid ratio, something we see translate a lot to the NFL. Like his mobility as well, that floor as a rusher. He had 463 rushing yards with 7 rushing touchdowns last year. That's something that's going to bring a ton of fantasy value. Not only as a really impressive passer who can limit turnovers, he is a really good rusher. With around the goal line, he gets a lot of carries, a lot of quarterback draws we saw last year. They was able to turn into touchdowns that would translate directly into fantasy points. So really impressive stuff there. He's a very consistent quarterback. He can move outside the pocket consistently, like we said, with that mobility, and hit throws on the run with deadly accuracy. This guy can be a fantastic quarterback. Definitely has a ceiling to be the QB1 next year. Yeah, he flashes, especially on throws outside the numbers. He's able to be extremely accurate, just tear up these defenses with really impressive balls. I mean, there are some throws on film that I just had to replay over and over again 5 times because I couldn't believe he made the throw down the field in just the perfect spot. I mean, you could pinpoint accuracy right where his receiver could get it. He's my quarterback 1 this year, very high floor player that I'm very high on.
I have to say, when I watched the film the first time, he wasn't the most impressive quarterback to me, but you look at the numbers and it's just undeniable. Like the production was there. 3rd in the class in yards, 1st in touchdowns. He had the highest PFF grade. He had the most big-time throws. Like, the production is there. He was good. And like you said, he adds that rushing aspect. I don't see him as the most agile runner out in space, but he is fast. Man, he blazes once he gets out there. He's a fast guy, and I could see a good rushing floor once he moves over to the NFL. The accuracy is good. I wish he threw from a solid base a little bit more often. And I think the only thing capping his real ceiling as a passer is he doesn't have the strongest arm in the class. It's not a huge weakness, but that's probably the only thing keeping me, we have him at 6 here. That's the only thing keeping him out of that top 3 right now. Moving on to number 7 now, I'm going to follow up with my number 2 quarterback in the class. We're going to go a couple QBs in a row here. And that's Fernando Mendoza. Last year, he played over at Cal, and this offense was awful to watch. I couldn't get through watching game film on this California team. It just little dump off, short, quick routes. They just didn't trust him. Every time they let the ball be in Mendoza's hands, let him decide what to do, throw down the field, I was just blown away. It was great throws out in stride for his receivers, out of the way of DBs that were in good coverage. Everything outside of the numbers was just on point. It's just he wasn't able to do it very often. That California offense was really holding him back. So I'm really excited about this transfer to Indiana with some good wide receivers and a team that's going to throw the ball down the field a lot more. Last year, his ADOT was 8.4 yards. So average depth of the target, 8.4 yards down the field. That is horrendous. That was eighth lowest in the class among the Power 4 quarterbacks. Like, it was just these little dump-offs, just so boring to watch, and I think he has a lot more potential than that. Last year with Indiana, Curtis Rourke was their quarterback. He just transferred there. He put up his highest ADOT ever in his career, 10.4 yards. So we're talking 2 extra yards per target. I think we're going to see a lot more of explosive offense with Mendoza than we saw at Cal, and really see him use those skills that I saw on film.
No, yeah, I mean, the sky is the limit for Mendoza. I think a lot of people were surprised whenever he transferred to Indiana, but I mean, that's kind of the program to be at right now in terms of who's trending up the most. You know, no one expected him to be in the college football playoff. They made it. They played Notre Dame decently. Cignetti's a winning head coach. He's won everywhere he's been at, and obviously a really strong debut year with Indiana. And not to mention the weapons that Mendoza's going to have at his disposal. You know, a guy like that's going to come up later, Elijah Sarratt, that people are extremely high on, especially you, Calvin. I know you have him very high up in your rankings. So
we're not going to have to wait too long to talk about him. He's coming up soon.
He will be coming up very soon. A player that both of us really like a lot in Sarratt. So, you know, he has the weapons, he has the head coach that just has really helped out his quarterbacks in the past. So I'm really excited to see Mendoza this year.
All right, let's move on to our 8th pick in this first round of our 2026 rookie mock draft, and this one's with Jujo.
Yep, I got Carnell Tate, wide receiver for Ohio State. You could call this a legacy pick if you want. Ohio State wide receivers obviously have the pedigree. There's always the battle between them and LSU. Who is wide receiver you? I don't really have a clear choice on that. But obviously, as of late, Ohio State's been pumping out some elite receiver talent. You'd think Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, just an elite route runner, a great deep threat. We'll see if he can do any better on the Cardinals this year. I still do believe in him. Tate, obviously, I don't think he's as high pedigree as a prospect as a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, it's hard to get to that level. But I think Tate, obviously, he's in one of the most high-powered offenses in the nation. Obviously, there's a lot of change coming in with that. A new quarterback coming in. Will Howard's not there anymore. Multiple receivers have left the offense. You saw Buka no longer there. But that's where I see the ceiling for a guy like Carnell Tate. He was the wide receiver 3 last year in a stacked offense, a national championship offense, in which a lot of guys were taking away targets. You saw Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson all taking away significant targets from Tate, but he still was able to contribute with a line of 52 receptions, 733 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. Any guy that can do that in an offense with so many elite targets is a guy I have to have at least a decent way up on my draft board. But I think the sky's the limit with this offense. Obviously, it's a high ceiling, low floor situation with so many new guys coming in. Obviously, with a national championship offense, so many guys are going to get drafted. But I think Tate can step into this role that Egbuka had as the wide receiver 2 and be a really nice complementary piece to a guy like Jeremiah Smith, who's so great down the field especially. But again, like Ohio State produces so many elite wide receivers. But Tate specifically as a prospect, he's a good route runner. I think he has some really nice sharp cuts on the stems of his routes. I really like to see that. He displays really good body control with a couple of really good flashes against some strong opponents. He had a good game against Texas in which he had a couple of nice catches. The drops are a little bit concerning at times, but that's something that can be coached up. I think that could come out pretty quickly. He's got a good catch radius. And that kind of comes back to his solid frame. He's 6'3". That's a pretty good size for a receiver, kind of a little bit above average on the size there. And I think he's going to get that first crack at the wide receiver 2 spot for Ohio State. Again, new quarterback. He's going to be looking for who he can trust the most as a target. I think Carnell Tate is going to be that nice, safe target next to Jeremiah Smith, who's that high-volume, big play guy. And I mean, after operating as the wide receiver 3, I think he's going to be able to seamlessly fit in as the 2 for this team.
Absolutely. When you're on the clock in your rookie drafts, just close your eyes and draft Ohio State wide receivers. Like it works every time. Like when has it not worked recently? Something that makes me really hopeful with Tate's profile, because sometimes we can drop these guys that aren't the number one wide receiver on their team. And that's going to be the case with Jeremiah Smith there. Like Jeremiah Smith, we don't have to do the 2027 video to tell you he is the 101 in that class. He is,
Absolutely.
unless Arch gets there, but
Sure.
he is just so good. But with Egbuka this season, especially as we get into redraft season, I've been doing a lot of best ball drafts, and Egbuka is flying up boards. People aren't worried that, oh, he's never been that number one top receiver. He shared the field with Marvin Harrison and then Jeremiah Smith. He was never that dominant guy. No, this guy's just a good wide receiver, and so is Carnell Tate. Now that Egbuka's gone and you've got those Trevion Henderson targets as well, I think he's absolutely going to have that breakout year. And one breakout year on Ohio State is enough for a wide receiver to really fly up boards. Absolutely.
For sure. No, yeah, I think we are going to see him get significantly more volume this year. I think it could be a really good year for him, and could be a top half of the first-round player in rookie drafts by the time the year is over. Could even sneak his way into the first round of the real-life 2026 draft. So I think we're good for our next pick.
Absolutely, very, very smart wide receiver too. Who runs very well against zone. That was one thing that showed on tape. Is he just finds the area in the zone every time, and especially while sharing the field with two elite wide receivers last year, to be able to find those zones, very impressive to see. Maybe this is like Egbuka that's 6'3", and that is a profile I am all over. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, now with the number 9 pick in this 2026 Dynasty Rookie Mock, the Indiana wide receiver Elijah Sarratt. I had a hard time not pushing this guy up even further on my board. I know he's going under the radar right now, but I watch him play, and I'm amazed. Like I want to push him to number 1 in the class, like above some of those guys that have the higher pedigree. He's a very balanced wide receiver. He's second in the class in yards per route run against zone, 8th against man, and including second in yards against man as well. So he's really a good all-around wide receiver. But what really blows me away with his profile is his ability to just beat guys downfield every which way. This guy had so many deep routes that he just won time and time again. He's got great speed for his size. He's a great size for a wide receiver. Has that prototypical size. He's got great physicality, strength at the catch point. He has that quick change of direction to beat guys. A good release off the line. There's just nothing he can't do. He was 3rd in contested catches in his class last year. A lot of those in the end zone. Just a ton of touchdowns, a ton of deep balls. He's someone I'm really excited about. He came from smaller schools, wasn't a highly recruited player at a high school, but he's really just he's that hard work guy that's worked his way up my board, and you see it just at a top school now, and with, I think, an improvement at quarterback, I think we could be looking at a very big breakout year for Elijah Sarratt.
Yeah, no. The number one thing when I watch this film that stands out to me is just the consistency. Winning on the same route every single time. He may run it a new way, but I mean that consistency, always getting open. He's always that reliable option for his quarterback. Like you said, he succeeds against man and zone. I think he could be that security blanket for a quarterback at the next level. Kind of like that safe option, that high floor guy that is going to work out. It's just how much of that pie is he going to get in that receiving volume for an offense. But I really like Sarratt. He's been flying up my draft boards. I think he's a really safe pick, especially at this point in the draft, and definitely a guy that could fly up these rookie drafts as the process goes on, for sure. Good pick.
I don't want to spoil too much because we have a planned episode coming up later on in the season on NFL comps for these incoming rookies. But I just have to say, I watched this guy and just time and time again, I thought, I'm watching Terry McLaurin out there. Like, just that X receiver that he can do a little bit of everything, but when you let him use that speed and get down the field, like, this guy just brings in all the tough catches downfield.
Yeah.
He's able to separate. It's just, he's a really exciting guy. As a Commanders fan, if I can get my hands on another Terry McLaurin, I'm doing it 11 times out of 10. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to number 10 here on our mock draft. Back over to you, Joe.
Taking my second quarterback here, we have LaNorris Sellers out of South Carolina. This is the epitome of a high ceiling quarterback. He had 671 rushing yards in 2024, which is awesome. Until you look at his measurables, he's 6'3", 240 pounds. A guy like that should not be able to get 671 rushing yards, but yet he did in the SEC. I mean, that's unbelievable numbers for what conference he's in. And also, when you look at the passing numbers, a solid touchdown to interception ratio, 18-7. Decent numbers there. Obviously, can improve, and I think they will. But just when you turn on the film, unreal physicality when he runs the football. He can run over defenders. Again, 240 pounds. You do not want to see that flying at you as a defensive back, even if you're an SEC defensive back. But you put multiple defenders on the ground in film. A very high ceiling player, especially in fantasy, with that rushing upside that can also give him a high floor if he lands in an offense that wants to help him flourish in that sense. A lot of people have him as their first overall Superflex player in 2026. I think maybe that's jumping the gun just a little bit. I want to see him develop a little bit more. But if you're going off the upside alone, sure, why not throw him at number one because of how dominant he was on the ground this past season. He also flashes that arm. He's a very solid passer, but obviously that rushing upside is the biggest draw to him, and that size is super impressive. But I'd love to see him develop for another year, see how he's able to operate in the South Carolina offense with Beamer at the helm of things. You know, he's got some decent targets around him, a decent running back as well. So we will see how things go. But I'm really excited for LaNorris Sellers, probably the highest ceiling of any player in this class right now in terms of pure athletic ability, pure ability to impact a game, just game-breaking speed, game-breaking physicality as a quarterback.
I think people are going to think we have him too low on this list. We have him at 10. And we're probably a little lower than consensus, but we totally acknowledge that ceiling. When you can rush the way he can at his size, like you're looking at like that Cam Newton kind of prototype at that size and that rushing ability. What's holding him back, for me at least in the rankings so far, is just he needs to show it more as a passer.
Yeah.
I love these kind of players for their upside at quarterback when they can run the ball. Like Anthony Richardson, has the tools, but you just haven't seen the production yet. You haven't seen that accuracy as a passer. I'm not as worried about the accuracy with Sellers. I just didn't see the production as much. He's got a strong arm. He wasn't throwing it downfield a whole lot last year. A lot of short dump offs. He had a lot of high turnover percentage plays as well. Something he'll need to clean up. But the ceiling is absolutely there. With a good season, this is one of the guys on the short list that could really fly up to the top.
Yeah, definitely a ceiling as the overall QB1. Excited to watch him, but also a floor of a second-round pick in rookie drafts.
We're moving on to the number 11 pick in this draft, and that is Eugene Wilson. He is wide receiver out of Florida. He's a wide receiver that I just love to watch on film. This guy's so fast. He's so agile. He can turn the ball upfield so quickly. He's not the tiniest guy. He's not a Tank Dell. He's about 190 pounds. So that's not a problem. At that size with his speed, I think that could absolutely translate into the NFL. Kind of the issue we saw last year is he couldn't stay healthy. He couldn't stay on the field. We saw the flashes when he was on the field, but just too many injuries. The production wasn't there because of it. Just not on the field enough. He had 11.3 yards after the catch per reception last year. It was just amazing. Like, you have to have crazy speed and agility and elusiveness to be able to continuously break tackles the way he did, and just the tackle breaking numbers aren't even going to show up on the stat line because no one can touch him. He's just that fast out there. He had a good freshman season as well. I'd love to see this year, first of all, him stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be a huge thing. But also see him used more as a traditional receiver. He was used a lot in the screen game, a lot on these end arounds, which we love for fantasy. It's great to get that manufactured work. But I'd also love to see him get more work on the outside, some deep, big in-breaking routes. It's something I've seen him do on tape. It's something he can do. He just didn't have enough of it last year, so I'd love to see more of that.
No, yeah, Eugene Wilson is a player. I absolutely love this class as well. When you took him, I honestly, I was upset I didn't take him a pick before. I was kind of kicking myself, but no, great pick there. Wilson, if you can build a yards after catch threat in a lab, that's what you get with Eugene Wilson. His film, kind of the opposite of Fernando Mendoza, so fun to watch. When I first stumbled upon it, I couldn't believe that I wasn't seeing this guy's name more in draft circles. You know, obviously, maybe he doesn't declare this year, but I think he's just an elite athlete. He's got that ability to make players miss. He's got the speed, like you just said. That yards after catch ability, scouts are going to absolutely love that. And with Lagway at quarterback, kind of a high upside option that can give him some high quality targets, I'm in on Eugene Wilson this year. Obviously, low floor, high ceiling type of guy, maybe with those health issues like you said. But I think he could be a really fun player to watch this year in college football. Could develop even more in this offense with Lagway under center. So I'm really, really excited to see what he does this year. Just great after the catch, great athlete, super fun player to watch.
Let's move on now to the last pick of our first round of this 2026 Dynasty Rookie Mock, and that's with you, Joe.
I've got a guy that I think some people may not take this high. They may think this is a bit of an overdraft, but a guy I just fell in love with on the film. That's Antonio Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson. Obviously, he's Cade Klubnik's partner in crime. He was the top target, top receiver this year in that Clemson offense. And he kind of reminds me, I know you said before we're going to have a pro comp video, but he kind of reminds me of Josh Downs. I'm a Colts fan, so it's kind of an easy comp. But just the way he gets off the line and the way he's able to shake defenders off their platforms with his route running, he's so fun to watch. He is insanely shifty off the line, able to turn these defensive backs around and generate a ridiculous amount of separation in the way he's able to get off. He has the ability, he's shown even, I think he's 5'11", 190, something around there, but he showed the ability to climb the ladder and make some really impressive catches downfield through contact. He did that a couple times at Clemson. So obviously, not only this like short area weapon that can get open quick, but he's also a downfield threat with that speed. He's a speedy wide receiver. That twitchiness and that speed just shakes defensive backs off their platform pretty consistently, especially in press, and gives them a ton of separation. The only thing I will say is the drops were a bit concerning. He had a couple pretty bad drops this past year, but if he can clean that up, I think he could be a top receiver in this class. He's so shifty. He gets open so well, and he's good deep down the field. He's good in the short game. He's good in the intermediate game. Just constantly shaking off defenders with that route running. I've been super impressed by his film, and he's a guy I'm in on this year if he can clean up those drops. But I think with Klubnik, giving him those high-quality targets, like we said with Eugene Wilson and DJ Lagway over at Florida, I think this is a great situation for him to be in, and he can rocket up these draft boards.
Absolutely. I'm with you on Antonio Williams. When I was watching Klubnik's film, I was iffy on Klubnik, but every time he got Antonio Williams the ball, I was like, oh man, they need to throw him the ball more. Yeah. Every time the ball is in his hands, good things happen. And every time he got the ball, I thought like, oh, this is a good, big X-receiver kind of guy. And then looking at the measurements, like he's a little undersized to play the X, but it does not show up that way on film. He's strong. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in quite a bit heavier than what he's listed as right now. Maybe a little taller as well. But yeah, just plays big. One downside, he hasn't had the greatest production yet. His yards per run is under 2, and that's kind of that measure that is kind of a deal breaker when it comes to fantasy. But he's back another year, another breakout season with a veteran quarterback that has good production. He could absolutely get over that 2 mark and be a big riser. If you've been liking this content so far, then give us a like, give us a subscribe, be on the lookout for our next videos because we're going to keep giving you updates throughout the season on these 2026 rookies, as well as the NFL Dynasty landscape and how you can win your league. While you're here, throw a comment below and tell us who your favorite 2026 rookie is so we can look even deeper into their profile. Now into the second round of our 2026 Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. I'm going to get it started here with Drew Allar. This is a quarterback who I think the word toolsy was invented for him. This guy has a cannon of an arm, huge arm. He is 6'5", like 235 pounds. This is just a huge guy. Like if you were drawing up a NFL quarterback in a lab, like this is the guy. Now he's going in the second round. Obviously, if he's that prototypical guy, there's some downsides.
Yep.
He hasn't seen the volume as a passer. He hasn't proven that he has that ability to work through his reads and really read a defense. And sometimes he's just throwing off platform too often. The footwork really isn't there, I don't see. So I think this is a guy who, super high ceiling, if he can put it all together, like this is like that Josh Allen profile of the guy who's not accurate in college, but he has all the tools. And if it works, it's amazing. But the Josh Allen happens 1 out of 100 toolsy quarterbacks. So you have to be careful with that. Has that rushing upside as well. Can break tackles, big, strong guy. But obviously has a lot to go on the fundamentals and putting it together before I'm willing to move him up into that first round.
Yeah, I think if I see a bit more consistency from Allar, just overall in his game, I could definitely move him up into the first round. Maybe even close to a guy like Cade Klubnik for me, if he improves that passing consistency. So yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of people that are too scared to draft that project quarterback after Anthony Richardson. So
Yeah,
maybe you'll
fair.
get him at a value in your drafts. All right, next pick of the second round. We're moving over to you, Joe, with a running back.
Yeah, I got Jonah Coleman, running back for the Washington Huskies. This is a guy I've seen all over draft boards, as far as into the first round of rookie drafts, as well as into the third. So you can have him all over the place. I have him at kind of a moderate price here in the early second. Obviously, there are some easy upsides. He's 228 pounds. That is pretty insane size. Some NFL ready size for sure. But even at that size, you expect a guy to be kind of immovable, kind of not twitchy at all. But he has some really good jump cuts at the line of scrimmage that can just crack open an entire defense and get some big plays. We saw it especially in a couple games this past year where he just makes one move to the line of scrimmage and he's off to the races in for a touchdown. I mean, when I first started watching this film, I did not expect that of him. I expected kind of a big bruiser running back, which he is, but he also has that ability to make defenders miss, especially at the line. Obviously, with that size comes great physicality. Gives him a high floor, which I think he can work his way into an NFL offense, especially at the goal line. He shows flashes of explosiveness, again, with that jump cut ability, but also with a bit of speed for his size. Obviously, a guy like him isn't going to be the fastest player on the field. He isn't going to be that home run threat all the time. But when he can make that one move that can just slice open a defense, he's entirely capable of doing that for those big plays. Again, like he's all over big boards, but I think the second round is a really good spot for him. We're willing to take a shot on the guy that could earn a role over time. He may not be the perfect prospect, but a guy you're absolutely willing to take a shot on. Also, just worth mentioning, he's shown some flashes as a pass blocker. I think that's important for earning a role at the NFL level. I included a film clip in there somewhere of him doing that, walling off a linebacker who's blitzing. I think it was the USC game. But overall, I think he's a high floor prospect with that size, with that physicality, and with that ability to slice open a defense. But obviously he's not a perfect prospect, but a guy I'm willing to take a shot on.
You said like almost 230 pounds.
Yeah.
People are going to think like, oh, is this like a big Derrick Henry kind of guy? He's like 5'8". Like
Yeah.
5'8", 5'9". This guy is a little bowling ball on the field, and absolutely, he got a lot of broken tackles. Like, there's a lot of good things in his profile that I could see going well. On to the third pick of this second round. I'm going with Makhi Hughes here. I think he had elite production, 1,403 yards. That's the most among all running backs in this class. He's done it. The next highest was 1,124 yards. And that was Jeremiyah Love. So he's almost 300 yards higher than the next closest running back. Now, he's in the second round. Why is he in the second round? He did this at Tulane. He didn't do this at a top school. He wasn't in the SEC. That could change. He's going to Oregon. He could show off these skills again in a higher level of competition and show off. If he can keep that, like he had the second highest PFF grade last year. If he can keep that at a top school, then this guy is going to absolutely fly up boards.
No, for sure. I think he has the receiving upside as well. Obviously, had a very productive year at Tulane. A guy that you said could fly up boards. I totally agree with that. Could be that big play threat, and maybe wants to prove himself at this top tier Big Ten school in Oregon. Hopefully, help him reach a national championship, maybe. But I think it's a really ambitious transfer for him, but something I think he can handle pretty well with that talent. So, really looking forward to see what he can do.
Now moving on to the next pick we have in the second round of our Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. And that's over with you, Joe.
Yeah, I got Denzel Boston. I'm going back to that Washington guys with my picks here. But Denzel Boston, he is 6'4", 209 pounds. That's some really impressive size, a really good frame for a wide receiver to have, especially how much he plays on the outside. But he flashed so much physicality this year at Washington. I can think of several plays where he just boxed out the defender with that big frame, was able to just pull away, make the adjustment for the catch on the sideline. Again, that's just something he's so good at with that size 6'4". But on top of that, he's shown some great routes to get separation, some good yards after catch ability on film. He doesn't generate a ton of separation. That's something I want to see him improve upon this last year at Washington. The quarterback play wasn't obviously amazing last year also, but he definitely made some big plays. But if he can separate more, kind of clean up his routes more, I think that's something that could definitely help him fly up draft boards. Obviously, that physicality, that big frame is going to give him a decent floor at the NFL level because he can make those adjustments on the fly. And he's got decent speed as well to just break open defenses. But that's something I want to see him improve upon. But I think second round is a good price for him right now.
Big physical jump ball kind of receiver. Had 9 touchdowns. Had 12 contested catches last year. We're just not seeing the total production. We're not seeing that efficiency.
Sure.
1.86 yards per route run isn't really where we want to see, but obviously those traits are there. Like you said, if he can improve on that route running, absolutely, he's got a lot of upside. Now moving on to our 5th pick of the second round in this rookie mock, and I have Darius Taylor here. This is a prospect that I feel very torn on because I watch him as a pass catcher. I think this guy could be one of the great pass catchers in the NFL. Like, he's that good. Super fluid. As soon as he gets the ball, he's moving downfield. That's what I look for in these running back pass catchers. 54 receptions last year, the most in the class among Power 4 running backs. That's just a ridiculous amount. And I know if you're used to just NFL stuff, 54 receptions, like, yeah, that's good, but it's not insane. In college, these are like outrageous numbers. If a running back has 20 receptions, I'm happy. That's a good profile. 54 is just next level. 1.42 yards per route run, 349 yards. Like, this guy produced as a route runner. To me, I thought, is this guy like a Tyrone Tracy? Like, did he convert from a wide receiver? And he's just that good as a pass catcher. The reason he's in the second round is because I just don't see it as a rusher. He had decent production, but he runs so upright. He reminds me of like how Harold Fannin ran last year, just like this weird, awkward, upright run. So I'm 195 pounds undersized for a running back too. I think he's mostly going to profile as like a pass catching back at the second level, which has kind of that limited ceiling. But if he can put it together as a rusher as well, the sky's really the limit with his pass catching ability.
No, I agree. Good pass catcher, and yeah, that rushing style is a bit weird, but I had the production with it, so I can't argue with that. But definitely a high ceiling player for sure, especially in PPR leagues. Definitely. Moving on to the next pick, I believe I have CJ Baxter, running back for Texas. This is a guy, I'll admit, you don't exactly know what you're getting. There's some definite competition for carries at Texas. He missed the entire 2024 season with an injury. Kind of a hard sell at this point if you're looking at it, but he's a big play threat with good physicality as a runner. I see it show up on the film all the time. He's just a home run hitter at the NFL level potentially if he can put it all together. A really good size at 227 pounds, similar to a guy like Jonah Coleman that we talked about earlier from Washington. Really impressive size and shows a high level of physicality really consistently on his runs. Again, he could be fighting for those touches, even with a guy like Arch Manning at quarterback this year. So may not get the most volume, but if he can show it on a touch-per-touch basis, I think he could be an NFL draft pick if he can prove that he can stay healthy after that knee injury that he had. I believe it was a knee injury that he had this past season that kept him out the entire year. So he's definitely a high-ceiling, low-floor guy like we've discussed. Really want to see that health come back strong. Hope he can rebound well from that injury. But we're definitely going to have to wait and see with Baxter, but I think he's worth the pick in the second round.
Oh, he is the prototypical high ceiling, low floor guy. Like, we haven't seen anything from him yet. Like, there's nothing to go on. And those are the guys I love. You watch the film and you can just find these hidden gems because they show flashes of the ability, but they're not showing up on when you sort by yards or by carries or anything. They're not showing up. So you're going to get a lot more casual drafters that just let these guys go kind of over their head, but I see the path there absolutely. If he can use that physicality to his advantage more this year, there's a lot of upside here with Baxter.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next pick, the 7th pick in the second round, and I have Justice Haynes here. You're going to see a trend of a lot of guys that have transferred, as Joe alluded to at the top here. Haynes is one of those as well. He was the RB2 at Alabama. He's got good explosiveness at the line of scrimmage, gets up to speed quick. What really puts him above other running backs in this class for me is his contact balance. Like, this guy he bounces off people and can stay up.
Yeah, Michigan team that loves to run the football. What sticks out to me about Haynes is he's a really good lateral mover. He's able to shake defenses that way. I really am in on Haynes this year. I think he obviously didn't get a ton of opportunities at Alabama, but I think at Michigan now transferring to another program that could be a high-level program this year, I think he could really prove some people wrong and have a really great year.
Now moving on to the 8th pick in the second round of this draft, Joe, you have a wide receiver that's very exciting.
Yeah, I have Zachariah Branch here, wide receiver formerly of the USC Trojans. Now he transferred to Georgia this offseason. This is a guy that was brought in as a very highly touted recruit. I believe he was a 5-star, all that stuff. And things never really worked out perfectly at USC. He had some production, but never really took over as that elite guy. Obviously, there was Makai Lemon there, a couple other decent receivers. But transferred to Georgia this offseason. That's kind of an offense that's in flux in the post-Carson Beck era. We're not totally sure what we're going to get, but he has the hopes of becoming their top receiver. They brought in a couple other guys, too, in the transfer portal, so we'll see how that works out. But as a prospect, Branch is just a freak in a good way with that elite speed and yards after catch ability. We've seen him win downfield and just burn defenders, cross over the entire field with that lateral movement, just switch directions on a dime. He is just a ridiculous athlete in that sense, generating yards and separation after the catch. If you can get the ball in his hands, he can just fly upfield, make defenders miss constantly, stop on a dime. He's just that kind of player. And even at the floor, he can be an awesome return man at the NFL level. I know that isn't a big fantasy thing, but I think he could be fantastic in that sense. But again, he's a guy where if you can get the ball in his hands early, he can do some serious damage to defenses. Again, not a ton of production so far, but that agility, that speed, that yards after catch ability can really elevate his game to the next level, hopefully.
If you're in that league with return yards, you got to keep your eye on this guy.
Yes.
This guy is fast. This guy's elusive. That was basically my notes. It's just elusive in all caps, bold, underlined.
Yep.
Only 180 pounds. He's undersized, but yeah, there's some exciting plays in store for him. All right, moving on to the next pick of our second round. I have Jaydn Ott here. This is someone who I was actually really high on going into last college season. He had awesome production as a sophomore. 1,311 yards, 12 touchdowns, 87.5 PFF grade. Those are great numbers for the running back out of Cal. Last year was just a terrible year. It was awful. Everything was down, and it was the ankle injury. I was watching film on him throughout the season, and that injury happened week 1, and you could see it right away. It wasn't there. It's a tough dude. He tried to play through it all season long, and it just wasn't happening. It was clear. The explosiveness just wasn't there anymore. Hopefully this year, transferring, he has a good bounce back season. We know what he can do as a pass catcher. So if we can see a return to that production that he had as a sophomore, I think he could be one of those guys that moves up into the first round of drafts.
Yeah, Cal was a really weird team last year. We saw so many running backs transfer away from that program this offseason. I think they were left with one running back by the time the transfer portal kind of calmed down. So maybe something behind the scenes that we didn't really know about, but definitely got to keep your eye on.
Some pretty bad quotes coming from Ott now that he's transferred about his time in Cal, and just essentially calling that team unserious and not hating on his teammates or anything, but definitely I don't think the coaching staff was preparing there the way that the players expected.
I would tend to agree that's the sentiment that he provided. Moving on to our next pick here, I've got Kaytron Allen, running back out of Penn State. He's the 1B in this 1A, 1B punch with Nick Singleton at Penn State. Obviously, probably you could say it's the best running back combo in all of college football. They've been ridiculously productive. He put up over 1,000 rushing yards last year again in that really elite rushing offense with Singleton. First off, he's part of that elite backfield. He's going to get a ton of production again this year. That should boost his profile even more. He's a very physical runner. He can run over defenders. He's shown the ability to just power through up the gut and just take down defenders and gain some extra yards after contact. He's got that big bruiser mentality. He's not a super fast running back. That's my nitpick. Doesn't really have the speed to break open a defense, but definitely can earn a role at the next level and he's not the same player as Dave Montgomery. I'm not saying that, but could maybe have a similar role to a guy like Judkins or Montgomery does in the NFL. It's kind of that complementary power back that's capable of maybe busting open a big play here and there.
Absolutely. David Montgomery is everyone's go-to on that, the early down bruiser now in Detroit. No, I like it. I agree. His production's been really good at Penn State. He's got similar yardage totals to Nicholas Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the efficiency isn't there. That breakaway speed isn't there. He's got a low breakaway percentage. His yards per carry is 1.5 yards less than Singleton, but still has he's a role guy at the next level. I think he could definitely fit in. This is the opposite of all our other guys. This is a high floor, low ceiling kind of running back. So Absolutely. Right, now on to my last pick, and this is someone that I wanted to have so much higher, but it's just hard when you miss all of last season and all of your freshman season, so I don't have much to go off of, and that's Nic Anderson. This is someone that I was kind of excited for going into last year before he missed the entire season with injury. He didn't play his freshman season as well, so we just have 1 year to go off of. That 1 year, he was very good. 38 receptions, 796 yards, 10 touchdowns. Like, that's a 20.9 yards per reception mark. Like, that's just outrageous. This guy could not be stopped on the deep balls. He's got a great release off the line, good change of directions, and just super effective tracking those deep balls. At 6'4", 210, he's got a perfect size for the position as well. So this is someone, if now that he's over in LSU, if he can stay healthy and put up similar efficiency numbers to what he did as a sophomore season, but with that higher volume, like I don't know how high this guy can go. This is a wide open wide receiver class, and he's got a chance to really skyrocket.
Yeah, some production needs to be replaced at LSU after losing a couple of guys to the draft. So there's definitely a way for him to carve out a role. And again, that deep threat ability is really impressive. So I'll be looking for him there.
Nussmeier too. He's a very accurate quarterback. Like really gets the job done underneath. And that's something I want to see more out of Nic Anderson. We saw him as like that burner on the outside. I'd love to see him more win on those shorter in breaking routes, those slants, that kind of thing.
Yeah, moving into what I believe is our last pick of the draft here, the 212. I've got Kevin Concepcion, a guy that's been fairly productive over his first couple of years at NC State. He's now transferred to the SEC to Texas A&M, so there's a lot to figure out there what his role is going to be, but I think he's a great playmaker. He can create after the catch really well, some really good start and stop ability. He can change directions on the field with ease. A guy I just love to watch on film in that sense. He's shown the ability to improvise really when his quarterback's in trouble. He can improvise off the ball. That's something that quarterbacks love to have, what coaches love to have in their offense. A guy that when pressure's on, he can create even outside of structure. Extremely fast receiver, yards after catch ability is through the roof. Kind of similar in that sense to Zachariah Branch, maybe not on the same level, but a very, very good receiver after the catch. Could be in for a huge year in Texas A&M. They have an explosive offense. We could definitely see how that goes there. And then as far as the production goes, 16 touchdowns over his last two seasons. Shown the ability to get into the end zone. Very excited for what he could do at A&M this year.
He had a really exciting freshman season, and I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed with how things went last year. Had more drops, the production wasn't as there. But yeah, if he can have a bounce back with a change of scenery, then yeah, he could be an exciting guy, and I think he'll be a fan favorite this year.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of our 2026 Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. We had 2 rounds there of some really exciting players, and kind of just some key takeaways from this class. It's a strong QB class. Last year, we're kind of lacking in the QB department. This year, I think we could see as many as 4 quarterbacks again going in the first round. And that's not just the 4 that we mentioned here. We had 4 in our top 13 in this mock draft. There's other guys, Garrett Nussmeier, John Mateer, Carson Beck, Sam Levitt. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks with another good season could really skyrocket up the rankings as well for the NFL draft.
Yeah, you saw guys that, even in our first round, that have the ability to go to that number 1 pick level type of guy. Guys in our second round that could easily be top 5 picks in rookie drafts next year. And obviously, like you just said, guys not even on our board, or guys that were off the board for our rookie draft, this 2-rounder, that could easily sneak into rookie drafts this next year. So, very good quarterback class. A lot of guys that could be risers this next season for sure.
Another takeaway from this draft class is just the changing landscape of how college football is operating with all these transfers. 7 of the 24 players on our list have transferred this year. That's not to mention the other transfers that had transferred before last season. With those guys, that's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of changing roles, a lot of new roles, and something we're going to have to keep an eye on as the season progresses to see how they acclimate into those new situations.
Several guys that maybe didn't produce a ton of their old schools that will definitely earn roles with their prospect profiles this year at their new universities. Really exciting to watch, and could definitely cause a lot of shifting on these draft boards. These boards will not look the same next April. It's going to be a lot of change in that effect. So
thanks for joining in, everyone. We hope you learned something about these 2026 Dynasty prospects, something to put you ahead of your league mates, to help you win your leagues, win your drafts, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. If you like this content, make sure to like and subscribe, because we've got a lot more rookie content coming, as well as NFL Dynasty content. We're going to evaluate your trades. We're going to look at the biggest risers, fallers, update you on what's happening in the preseason, all that good Dynasty content. So make sure you stick around for future videos. That's me and Joe from Dynasty Trading Room. Thanks for tuning in.
yep.